ça blesse, ça flingue. Hey, bro.
Welcome back to the BME podcast, your home for unfiltered podcasts across the NFL, college football, NBA, WNBA, baseball, boxing, all of it. Today we got a stacked episode for y'all. NFL Sunday predictions, college football's biggest matchups, panic or don't panic. Our game is back of panic or don't panic around some of the NFL headlines off of week one. Jerry Jones's role in the Packers Super Bowl window. And of course, we're going to touch on and talk about the Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford fight, which is going to be on Netflix for free. I think the NBA and the NFL should take notes, but that's a whole nother episode. I'm not rocking with what Adam Silver said. That's nasty, where he basically told us, get y'all money up. Get y'all money up. It's a highlight sport, which it ain't really never been a highlight sport. That's what the issue is now with NBA discourse, is that it's only highlights. But I digress. I'm off my soapbox. Greg, Miles, how y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. I mean, yeah, it's we're talking about Netflix and KB for Netflix to have more stuff. That's what I'm saying. That's the transition to these streaming platforms we be talking about, man. Well, I've been talking to y'all about that for a while with y'all. So we'll see. I mean, it was headed that direction. I'll tell you that for sure. I'm surprised the NBA's not already on Netflix. I'm surprised. I'm sure we'll get there.
I feel they're gonna drag their feet with it because there's more money probably going this route. And Adam Silver already told us, I don't care about you fans. I'm caring about my bottom dollar as Adam Silver. And by the way, if y'all forgot, Adam Silver, Roger Goodell, they work for the owners, not the players. Mm-hmm. So for the owners, Adam Silver is doing a great job. Roger Goodell is doing a great job. For the fans, y'all suck, especially Adam Silver. I still ain't heard nothing about the Clipper situation either. I feel he's gonna be soft on it. We talked about it.
He said he's never heard of aspiration before. So I never even heard of it. They signed $300 million deal with the Clippers, and he said he's never even heard of it.
They're gonna be soft on it. He's preparing y'all. I'm not gonna put the hammer down on one of my bosses, Steve Ballmer. But panic or don't panic. Week one. Before we start that, like, share, subscribe. We want to have the algorithm push this out to the masses. We try to be here for a good time and a long time. Best podcast in New Jersey. Panic or don't panic. Are the Dolphins? We saw week one. Absolute blowout. Tua did not look good. Are the Dolphins cooked? Panic or don't panic?
Yeah, you got to panic. I mean, if a team is already having player-only meetings after 1 week, the season just started. This is something you do in like November when it's like, all right, we got to buckle down and we got to finish the season strong. It's like the season just started. So clearly they don't respect McDaniel over there. And I think it's been that way for some time now where he's failed to adjust to how defenses are going to defend them. I mean, Tyreek Hill hasn't caught a pass over 30 yards in a year. So the most explosive player in the league has been limited because of this offense and because of the quarterback, because the quarterback is just, I mean, he doesn't have a strong arm and he's always at risk of injury every time he steps on the field. So, you got to panic if you're a Dolphins fan. And the defense, they're going to start giving up at some point. I mean, you give up 33 points and you let Daniel Jones look like Lamar Jackson last week. So there's a lot of reasons to panic.
And by the way, trust and believe, because y'all been asking, y'all been hitting Greg up personally. We will talk about Daniel Jones specifically later in the episode. We have its own segment for Daniel. Anything you wanted to add on the Dolphins and noodle arm Tua?
I think Miles about covered it. I think they're going to be looking to get out of Tua's contract as soon as possible here. All right. I think it was a mistake looking back at it with this team. I've always had my concerns with Tua. outside of the health stuff, I never really thought his arm played in the NFL. And, and obviously that showed itself when he played in cold weather games, which is the games that matter, December football, because you're not, unless you get home field, you're going to be out there playing in some cold weather, uncomfortable situations up in Buffalo and Baltimore and so on and so forth. So, can't say I'm surprised that we're seeing this happen. I don't want to blame it all on the quarterback. I think the team is not very good, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a pretty bad team. Tua shown he could be a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, a halfway decent one, an average quarterback in the league, to upper average, right? So it is what it is, but it's ending years and end badly. And Mike McDaniel's gonna lose his job, and I'm not convinced he's a terrible coach, but he's got to lose his job because that's the way it goes. You're tied to the hip to the quarterback, and when he's not playing well, and every team gives up around him, you're next. You're gonna get fired. It's pretty unfortunate. I've heard Dolphins fans tell me they're not crazy about McDaniel. I thought McDaniel's a pretty creative offensive mind. And I thought when they were humming and playing well, ain't nobody had nothing to say, But now it's time to get rid of him. So it's interesting, where we live in with this coaching thing. But here it is. I love to hear a Dolphins fan in the comment tell me what's wrong with McDaniel, because I've heard of. I spoke to one Dolphins fan at a car dealership, and he was telling me that he wasn't really rocking with him.
Yeah, for McDaniel, I think he's not like a Dan Campbell. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not gonna get in players' face if they do something wrong, or he's not gonna go along the sideline when things are going bad. He's just standing there, arms folded, ready to call the next play. So I do think for this team, they need more of a leader. And I don't think he's the best leader for that role. I think he's a good coordinator. But coordinators only have to worry about offense. Like, you're leading a team full of men who men will respect you if you're willing to stand on business and tell them they're doing something wrong, or tell them, like, we got to fix this. Like, I don't know what he's doing. He could be doing that, but the way he handles his pressers and just real nonchalant, aloof a little bit, like, I don't think he's the right guy for this team. But the bigger problem is their GM, who's been here for almost a decade, without being fired or disciplined or losing his job. Like, they haven't done anything. Like, they made one playoff appearance in the last decade since he's been there. And they gave Tua $200 million, which that's going to look bad. They gave Tyreek money, and he's ready to quit every other week. Like, there's a lot of things that's wrong with this Dolphins team, and it starts up top at ownership level. And it's not going to ever change there because owners don't sell teams. Owners keep teams in the family for years and years until a scandal comes up. So
that's facts. And I agree with Miles. I think they don't respect him. And I think McDaniels came in being buddy and the friend to all of them. He was the parent that we're best friends. And when it was time to try to actually discipline, that didn't happen. It didn't go out well, or he wasn't able to do it. If y'all remember the press conference, and what helped get the job was basically that he kissed the butt of Tua, saying, nah, Tua could work. We can make it happen with Tua. We could do it with Tua. The ownership, GM, they are big Tua people, and he came in and he knew to get the job, he was going to have to say, yeah, we can make it work with Tua. But pretty much everybody saw that. It's some serious question marks about Tua, and he might be best as a backup if we're being completely honest. But next one, we have the Ravens. They blew another lead. 15-point lead they had in the final 4 minutes to lose the game to the Buffalo Bills 41-40. Lamar was getting MVP chance at the beginning of the game. Josh Allen was quoted in regards of everybody that left early. Maybe they should have stuck around. Our team didn't quit. Is it time to panic over in Baltimore?
No, I don't think it's time to panic. I think you can be concerned that you keep seeing this play out every year, kind of. They're going to finish like 13-4, and they're going to have a great record going to the playoffs, 2 seed or something like that. But when they play the best teams, you can't have these lapses of you play great for 3 quarters, and then once it comes down to the last 5 minutes, all of a sudden people aren't communicating. You're seeing it throughout the week. Marlon Humphreys beefing a little bit with the defense, saying like, "Oh, if you just do your job, then things will win. We would win games like this." But too many times down the stretch, either on offense they don't make a play, like Derrick Henry fumbles, or on defense they're not able to stop. Like coming into the year, I had all these high hopes for this defense that, all right, they're going to right off the bat show that they're one of the top defenses in the league. And Josh Allen was able to hang like 20-something points on them in the fourth quarter. Those are the money quarters. Like that's where defenders get those big contracts, from sacking quarterbacks, making plays in meaningful moments, not in the first quarter when, people are still on their first beer. So I'm curious what happens throughout the year when they do play good teams, because the Bills, this was a statement game. Like they could have made a statement right off the bat saying like, we're not playing. Like the Chiefs lost earlier in the week. Like this could be their chance to solidify themselves as the top dog in the AFC, and they missed it. Like Derrick Henry rushed for 170 and 2 touchdowns, and that feels like an afterthought because they lost to Josh Allen and they let these guys come back on them. Like, and that's a key game, because if these two teams have the same record at the end of the year, Bills are going to have the home field advantage, and you'll be going back to Buffalo in the coldest times, and those fans get real rowdy in the playoffs. So it's not time to panic, but it's concerning. It's definitely concerning.
I said no, but maybe it's time to kind of panic if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, because John Harbaugh has blown 17 double-digit leads in the fourth quarters, right? And that's the most of any coach since 1991. So I don't know how he blew that many leads without you guys ever talking about him. I don't know why. I don't know if he's protected by the mafia. I don't know why people never really brought his name up and actually criticized this guy. But when you watch the Ravens play, they're conservative. When they get a lead, they're extremely conservative. It kind of, it kind of covers him that they're a good rushing attack to begin with. So when they're running the ball, he can say that they're being aggressive. But there's a difference between being aggressive running the football and not being aggressive running the football. Right, running with Lamar Jackson, putting the ball in his hands versus putting the ball in Derrick Henry's hands. There's a difference in aggression, obviously, in scheme and everything. So they certainly take their foot off the gas whenever they get the opportunity down the stretch of a game to actually try to milk the clock. And that might start as early as 7 minutes left in the fourth. That's plenty of time. That's an eternity for a good football team to come back. No matter how many scores they're down, right? For the most part, a great quarterback like Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Allen, right? Those guys are gonna keep scoring. They're gonna keep their foot in the juggler and keep going here. So when you have Lamar Jackson in your football team, there's no excuse for you not to be aggressive and close games out with an aggressive mindset. But that's not who John Harbaugh is. It's not, and I think that's been the tough thing about the Ravens, is kind of the fact that he played to this very conservative approach as a football coach. As well, and remember, he's not an offensive minded guy. Right? He hangs his hat on the defensive end of the ball. So it's a problem. It's a problem, especially if you're talking about winning a championship. If you're talking about winning a championship with this football team, and John obviously has 17 of them, 17 double digit losses. I'm not convinced he learned his lesson here. There's no evidence to support that. So here we are. I would certainly panic a little bit if your aspirations are to win a Super Bowl, which we know that is the aspiration of every single Ravens fan in the world. So here we are.
Yeah, like you said, Josh Allen is one of the premier quarterbacks. No lead is truly safe, regardless of what Draymond Green says when he says that he's not the guy to bring a Super Bowl to Buffalo. I think Draymond should stick to NBA. Because last couple years hasn't been Josh the reason why there hasn't been a Super Bowl in Buffalo. Looking at the next situation, the Chiefs, the offensive woes continue. The questions on the front line continue. You have Travis Kelce freestyling and doing what he's been doing his entire career, causing injuries to players You have a game where Hollywood Brown gets 16 targets, 10 catches, but only for 99 yards. Pat Mahomes goes 24 for 39 for 258 yards, one touchdown, 77.4 QBR, 89.5 rating overall, sacked twice, and Mahomes led the team in rushing yards with 57. Is it time to panic or don't panic regarding the Chiefs and their offense?
It's legitimately anemic. It's not a good offense. I mean, Rashid Rice going down was a really, really well going down. Going downhill, right?
He went down. Yeah,
he went down. He went down. Yeah, but Rashid being deciding that it was a life was a Grand Theft Auto test run, and getting suspended was one of the worst things that could have happened to that football team because he was their best receiver. For what I had seen the last year, that was a reliable target for Mahomes. They moved the chains with them a lot, and in the red zone, he was a target for him. Losing that guy, right? Essentially, your wide receiver one, and being left with Xavier Worthy, who's a one-trick pony, who now you lost because he ran into his teammate Travis Kelce, Travis Taylor Swift. Right? Like it's a real issue for them, and so. The thing that stood out to me about the Chiefs, in all honesty, I mean, I don't think that their offensive line is great. It's not bad. It's not great. I don't think their defensive line is great. They don't win in the trenches. They're not winning right with rushing four. I think that's one of the biggest concerns I saw too. The defensive line with Chris Jones. Chris Jones was getting stood up by Joe Alt all night in that game, and no one else was really getting home unless they sent pressure, right? So Spags is having to get creative on early downs, right? And against good quarterbacks. Great quarterbacks beat the blitz. That's what they do for a living. They beat the blitz. The blitzes don't phase them. If you blitz one of those great quarterbacks, they're going to make you pay 9 times out of 10. That's just what makes those guys great. And that's what Herbert did all night, right? He was getting to his open receivers. He was seeing the blitz early. He was able to diagnose what was going on. He was winning a chess match between him and Spagnuolo. But you can't rush the passer. You're not a really particularly great offensive line where you could run the football. They had no running game going. Pacheco never really got going in that football game at all. There were no holes for him to get through, and you're relying on Mahomes to make Mahomes plays, which is what he did for the course of the game. Right? You still got 18 points. You shouldn't have had that many, but he's that great of a quarterback to where you had 18 points, and then add into the fact that your wide receiver one is gone and Travis Kelce is a shell of himself. The only big play he had was a play they schemed open for him along the sideline, like on a wheel route. That was the only play he had in that game that looked great, right? It wasn't him. It was Andy Reid being a genius. When you look at those things, that's a major concern for this football team. All those things are major concerns, right? It's not about Mahomes' greatness. He has less to work with than any of the other great quarterbacks that we talk about in that Big Five conversation. But it's a major red flag. I mean, and also I'll leave you with this too. Andy Reid doesn't lose in September. That's not really a thing. For him to have lost that game that early in the season, the alarm to be blaring in Kansas City is majorly concerning. If they don't have a trade up their sleeve, and I'm not sure one trade does it, but if they could trade for a pass rusher or something like that, maybe that would help. But if they don't have one, like you have to be very concerned and very you have to start to panic a little bit because I don't see the path forward to a championship. For those teams, it's not about winning 9, 10, 11 games. It's about winning a championship. And I don't see that with that roster. There's major issues in the roster.
Yeah, I think I don't know if they I don't know how much money they have because that's the other thing too. Yeah. They paid so many guys like Chris Jones making over $30 million. Mahomes is making Travis Kelce. So I don't know how much money they do have to even maneuver with a trade, but they're going to have to do something. But I know everybody's talking about Tyreek Hill as a possible candidate, but I just don't see it just because I don't know how they would even work that trade cap-wise to make his number fit under the cap. So they're going to have to figure it out with some of the guys. Like the fact that he's throwing to right now Hollywood Brown, cast away from Baltimore, Juju Smith-Schuster, who, I mean, he couldn't even cut it on the Patriots. So this is the that he's been given, and these are the weapons that he's been given. So I don't want to – the Chiefs have been dominating the league for so long. I'm not giving them any breaks or like this is what happens in the league. Like there's ups and downs. You got to figure out how to deal with the ups and the downs. And right now this is a downturn for them. And like Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, came in and made your defense look regular. Like they didn't look like the team or the defense that we saw leading into the Super Bowl last year until when they got smoked by the Eagles. But this could be it. This could be it. I don't know if they're like a wild card team this year. Hot take, maybe they don't make the playoffs just because, Rashee Rice comes back end of October. Who's to say by then they're like 2-4 or 2-5 going into the bye week 8 or week 9. Like, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but there's teams that can beat them. Like, it's not like people are afraid of the running game. Like, they've got Kareem Hunt, who's not the Kareem Hunt we saw when he was a rookie, and Isaiah Pacheco is a one-trick pony. Like, for all that he does, he just runs hard. If he can't get through the holes and they're not blocking for him, he's useless out there. So, you're going to have games where Patrick Mahomes is the leading rusher, and it shouldn't be that way. You should have a balanced attack. But, hey, I don't feel bad for the Chiefs.
Yeah, don't feel bad for the Chiefs. We talked about this last year, and it worked out. They made it to the Super Bowl, but we saw it was still questions about the Chiefs' offense that they really did not figure out in the offseason. There still were some question marks about the Texans. Greg's second team, if he had a second team, still have not. From game one, it's only week 1. Does not look like the offensive line has been fixed for CJ Stroud. Is it time to panic over in Houston?
I saw on Twitter they said that they got too many Hellcats on that offensive line for the Texans. Not enough Ford F-150s, with the flag hanging off the back of the car and all that. They need to get back. The offensive line. It's a problem. I mean, they gutted their offensive line this offseason. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the trading Larry Tunsil to the Commanders to help them out as they, build a team around Jaden Daniels. That made no sense to me at all, right? It was an inexplicable trade. I'm not sure if Houston fans have any understanding or any kind of like backstory to why they would make a trade like that. But I was worried about the Texans. I was worried about them because of the offensive line and how many shifts they'd made and how they tried to revamp an offensive line in one offseason. Really weird, strange decision and move by the GM over there and the decision makers in place over there. It made no sense to me. So I had a feeling they were going to struggle. Mixon's out, right? So running game's a little questionable, and that's already a problem because your offensive line's a problem in front of that. And then on top of that, like, guys are just getting right through the middle of the offensive line. Like, they're not winning in the trenches at all. And funny enough, your defense still really good. Still what I thought it'd be. Still really, really good. Like I thought they played a really great game. They made life hard for Stafford, right? But they didn't need that many points to win. Was it 14 points that they scored to win that football game, the Rams? So it's tough. Like it's a tough situation when your offensive line is so awful, and people are going to blame C.J. Stroud and talk about him taking a step back. But the Houston Texans have done nothing to support him since trying to trade for or trading for Stephon Diggs. They've done nothing else to really support him from an offensive standpoint. Right, and you're burning away these years of cost controllable years with him, where you don't have to pay him an exorbitant amount of money. Maybe they're trying to lower his market to pay him less. Who knows? I don't know what the plan is here, but it just doesn't seem like great GMing going on over there when you try to shift that offensive line completely in one off season and expect to be competitive the next year. It didn't make sense to me. So I'm not surprised that we saw a bad offensive showing, but that defense is for real now. That defense is a real problem. I wouldn't want to see them at all. Secondary and pass rush.
The defense is legit. If they could get a serviceable offense, that's how good the defense is. If you could block for CJ Stroud, maybe not the whole game, but at least in key moments. Y'all getting in third down, passing downs, and the man doesn't have time, or the man can't get open to get to the wide receiver. It's tough, and we even saw it with the game on Thursday. The game on Thursday, we look, and it's like, yo, this Packers defense, with the addition of Michael Parsons, which we'll talk about, but Jaden Daniels, good quarterback. I would think we would say the offensive line in Washington is better than in Houston, and the defensive backs was able to play extremely aggressive extremely aggressive because our D line is getting to the quarterback. They in the backfield, dag near every single play. It's the same thing that CJ Stroud has to deal with. If y'all got no O line, they could get Diggs, they could get Moss. Randy Moss can come back, prime Randy Moss, but y'all not blocking for him to get to his wide receivers, and they don't have a time to get open, which gives it easier. Even teams that don't have a legit defensive backs, those defensive back looks good because hey, you ain't got time to throw. So that double route where you ended up open, you ain't see it. So we good. We're watching a film, and the coaches will tell me in film that I did a terrible job, but at least during the game, it didn't result in points. The Caleb Williams situation. That's a. Is it? Are we looking at a situation where we could possibly be giving up on him as a starter and the potential and the hype that he had coming in this early in his career? With all the stuff that came out too, I don't know if you guys got to read it, our listeners, our viewers, but there was a whole 3-part article Substack that came out about Caleb Williams and how he was, his attitude and ignoring coaches and not talking to them. That game with the Vikings, first quarter, you would have thought, hey, Ben Johnson figured everything out. He done fixed Caleb Williams. But after that, for the rest of the game, it did not look good. 21-35, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, sacked twice, 63.1 QBR. And we talk about wide receivers being upset. Tyreek Hill, over there in Chicago, they're going to have some wide receivers that are disgruntled as well. DJ Moore only had 3 catches on 5 targets. Roman Dunze had 9 targets, but it was only 6 catches for 37 yards. Cole Kmet had 1 catch, 31 yards for 4 targets. He missed a lot of people. Luther Burden, first-round draft pick, hasn't looked good so far. Is it time to panic over there in Chicago with Caleb Williams?
I feel like we got to give him another season, or because I was listening to Tom Brady talk on this the other day, and he was talking about like what type of QB coaches do they have? What type of coaching is he getting over there? Like they really trying to develop him as a passer, and he's got weaknesses, but he's got strengths too, and trying to figure out how to have those strengths showing more often. But in that first game, it was troubling to see the amount of throws that he's just missing. Like almost killed DJ Moore. And this has been happening since he came into the league. So, you could say he's the number 1 pick, Heisman. Maybe that gives him a little more leash. But I mean, they were so quick to get rid of Justin Fields. And I'm going to keep rooting for Justin Fields to succeed just because he's on my team. So, for sure. But he didn't get a chance in Chicago when he was not given any of the things that Caleb Williams has. And in Pittsburgh, they gave him a short leash when, honestly, I think it would have been better for him to play over Russell Wilson last year. But they still went to the veteran over Justin Fields. So it just shows how quickly things can turn. Like even last year, I'm comparing like Bryce Young. We were going to get off the Bryce Young train early when they benched him. And then he had a good run at the end. And let's see how he does to start this year, because it goes up and down. Where, look, Caleb could play well for the next 3 weeks, and then it's like, oh, did he figure it out? And then a month after that, he struggles, and then it's like, oh, see, he's too inconsistent. So as the number 1 pick, I feel like you got to give him a little longer leash because, sure, this is not his guy. Like the coach that they brought in, he didn't draft Caleb Johnson. So he could also be looking at it like, all right, let me try to get through the season, take my notes, observe, and if we have a high pick, I'm already looking ahead. I'm not going to let this guy get me fired. So that's why I want to see what he does as the season goes on. Because, hey, that Vikings team, that Vikings defense is pretty solid. But in that division, you're still going to play the Packers twice. he's going to struggle against them. I mean, this Packers defense is legit. Lions, let's see how their defense looks as the season progresses. But he's going to play better teams than the Vikings. Like week 1, Vikings defense, they showed some things, but Caleb can't miss that many throws. I'm sure he's watching film with the coach, and he's telling him, like, what'd you see here? What'd you see here? But if Caleb's not receptive to coaching, then there's not much you can do for him.
I think it's over. I think the experiment is over. A couple of reasons. First of all, the article that Tone put in the chat is scathing. It's not bad. It's scathing. For a guy who's still playing, that's scathing. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was walking away from his coaches as they were speaking to him, right? Trying to give him coaching points. We're talking about a guy who would be on the wrong page of the game plan during film meetings. We're talking about a guy who asked them to change the snap count from the elaborate snap counts you hear in the NFL to ready, set, go, because that's what he was comfortable with, just some JV football stuff. And then, if you watched Hard Knocks last year when he'd gotten drafted, or that was last year, when he'd gotten drafted, Eberflus was praising him upon getting there. In fact, the relationship was weird. I remember noticing that when I watched, just being like, the way Eberflus was talking to him, like when the draft phone call was weird. It was like, we're ready for you to go win Super Bowls, blah, blah, blah. Like, and the way Caleb was answering the call was so entitled. Like there was an expectation. Oh, you guys are so lucky to have me. You're lucky I even want to come play here. Right? We talked about this before with Caleb Williams. This is the intangible stuff off the field. That man thought, like, his entire life, no one's ever told him, hey man, here's what you have to do better. Like he has always been the best player on a football field. He's always had an electric arm. Always. He's always been he had the ability to get away from people and create plays. And his really superpower is his ability to put velocity on the football while like off platform. Just he can be in the air, he can be falling down. He is really talented as a quarterback. We already know that as a guy throwing the football. But he doesn't know how to play the position at all. At all. I mean, watching that Vikings game, there's a couple things that stood out to me. And I put this in the chat. He throws the ball way too damn hard. Every single possession is the ball's thrown at 100 miles an hour. He has the most overthrows in football since he got in the league. 52 overthrows, him. The next guy's Bo Nix, by the way. Another guy I don't really like very much. But we can stay off that for now. But 52 overthrows for him, right? That's one aspect of it. He does everything with a lot of velocity for no apparent reason. The touchdown he missed to DJ Moore and that on that flag route going to the pylon, he just threw it like he was trying to throw it to a brick wall and just missed him by 15 feet. It was ridiculous. It was wide open. And then you look at him, right? And I say this all the time, like the whole thing with him and not operating the quick game, like the reason why you can't operate the quick game is because you don't study. Like that's the reality of it. You don't know how to play on time. He has no conceptual understanding of how to play on time at all. He is trying to run for his life and make the highlight play. Every play is an opportunity for a highlight for that guy. If you are the kind of person that's blowing up your coaches, the kind of person who doesn't study in the classroom and all these things, right? Whether you want to believe those coaches or not, it shows up on Sundays. They don't put points up. They cannot play on time. They don't look organized. The receivers. The body language of DJ Moore should tell you everything you need to know. It wasn't DJ Moore. It wasn't him. Like for him to be as a veteran receiver to be that upset, a guy who I've never seen be upset before. He loved him some Justin Fields, and it wasn't like they had a great offense when Justin Fields was there, but he loved them some Justin Fields, right? I've never seen him act like that before with any other quarterback he's had. For his body language to be that bad that early with Caleb Williams, some of the stuff, if not everything in that article that we read, is true. That guy had not put the work in, who walked in like he was God's greatest gift to the earth and God's greatest gift to Chicago. And he was telling veteran receivers how to run their routes before he'd even taken a snap in the NFL. All types of crazy stuff was going on behind the scenes. And guess what? It's probably not that different. The only different now is that Ben Johnson's like, yo, I'm stuck with him. And the reality of Ben Johnson being stuck with him is like, I'm stuck with him until I'm not. Because Ben Johnson, there's no way he can let Caleb Williams down. He's like, what did I just walk into? Who did I just hitch my wagon to That's what he's thinking to himself right now. Because Caleb Williams is not operating that offense the way that Jared Goff operated that offense. I'm telling you. Processing quick, play action pass, get it out of your hands fast, 6-step drops and all this stuff. He's not doing that. He's not fundamentally sound. So I'm out on the Caleb Williams experience. I'm not saying he can't change. He's extremely talented. But when I read those things that about work ethic, yo, you got that early, or you don't get that late. I'm sorry. You got that early. That's built in. Those are habits that are built in from youth football to high school to college to now being in the NFL. Then you're in the NFL, and now you are who you've always been. But nah, man, we're seeing who you are now. I'm not surprised. And you tell me you want to go play for Kevin O'Connell? Kevin O'Connell couldn't save you. You don't want to study. You think Kevin O'Connell just waves a wand and the guys just play good football? This is the way it works. What the hell? What are you talking about? Like, it makes no sense. So I'm out. I've been leaning towards that for a while now, by the way.
I've been on the same page with you.
No, but Tone has been 2 years yet. 52 overthrows. 52. 50. Yo, Bo Nix is second highest with 38. 52.
It's not even 2 years, too. It's been like barely over a year, and that's
it's a year in one game.
I didn't even know it was that many overthrows. Jesus.
52 is a real. I read it.
Yo, I've been with you from jump regarding him, from everything that we were hearing leading up to it, on the attitude aspect. That's where I've always had some angst on Caleb Williams. You're coming in already thinking that you the hottest thing around. You're the best quarterback ever. You have nothing to improve on. And when you typically across life have a mindset and mentality that you have nothing to change, you have nothing to improve on, and everybody else here got to get better, and you come into a situation thinking you know everything already, you're telling veteran wide receivers that have been in the league for years, yo, this is how you need to run the route. Come again, sir? Sir, come again. And to your point, Justin Fields was nowhere near the level of quarterback and the level of hype that Caleb Williams had. DJ Moore wasn't mad. DJ Moore wasn't upset. You heard it after even game one with the Jets. Garrett Wilson said, yo, it's great to have a joker out here that's really competing, that's really balling. Like, I'm glad he was able to play his game. And they lost. And Garrett Wilson had a big drop. It's not like Justin Fields threw 400 yards or something like that, but it's the leadership. And as a QB, if your teammates, especially those that are going to war with you on the offensive side, don't rock with you, it don't seem like that's not a good sign this early that wide receivers, sure, the O-line probably going to have some problems too. You can't do a complex, and it's not really complex. This is the norm in the NFL. The snap count is not ready, set, go. That's not an NFL level snap count. That's helping the defense out. That's making it harder on your offensive linemen. Caleb got some work to do. And you mentioned body language. Week 1, body language was definitely a conversation. And it was body language over there with the red, white, and blue for the New York Giants with Malik Neighbors. And according to him, he has resting face. That's why he looked that way. Is it time to think?
I thought it was natural. I thought he had a natural,
natural. He doesn't change the term. He doesn't change the term. He made his own term for it. Natural.
He changed the term. Is it time to panic over there for the
100%, 100%. And I'm gonna say this. This is why I wanted to talk about it specifically. This weekend here against the Cowboys is a huge game, not because the Giants need to win the game, because they're not going to win, but because the Giants need to score 25, 26, 28 points. They got to show they can put NFL caliber offense on the field. I'm sorry. We're running out of excuses here. And it's getting to a place with this thing where everyone's going to get fired. I mean, 6 points in that opener was embarrassing, considering the defense you played wasn't good. They're not like a good defense you just played. They're okay. They're a middling defense in the NFL. And for you to go up there and put 6 points when you played them tougher last year with Daniel Jones, that's even worse. And I think looking at Dayball, and Kafka and all the coaches there, and Shane Bowen, who's a whole different conversation, but we're not going to talk defense. We'll talk offense because the offense is the main problem. There's a coaching problem there. There just is, and I don't. It's not that I don't think Daboll can coach. I'm not there where other fans are at. I'm not there, but I do think there's an issue with the way he goes about picking his personnel and all that stuff too. Like the guys that are in position to call the offense, to call the defense, they're doing horrible jobs of scheming guys open, of having a reasonable run game. You're getting beat off the snap count. They're jumping your snap count, and then I'll hold Russ accountable in this. There were throws we made in that game that where Russ was just bailing out the pocket because he was scared. He was scared. I'm sorry. I watched it in 4K, and then I got the all 22 guys. The guys who sit down on Monday morning, have the time to watch the film, telling me the same thing because there were throws where he left in the field because what he was doing was first hole, run. I'm trying to get 6 yards. It was like watching Daniel Jones all over again. That was the issue with Daniel Jones. He did not hang in muddy pockets. He didn't reset pockets and missed open guys down the field because I kept hearing, oh, well, it's a lot of Malik Neighbors. Like, where are the other receivers? We're not getting any production. Those guys are open. Slayton was open. Wan'Dale Robinson was open throughout the course of the game. Dale Johnson can't catch a damn football. Whole different discussion. Time to play Bellinger, who has a 90% catch rate. I don't know why you put him on the bench. Stupid. That can get you fired, Brian Daboll. You might want to rethink that. There's a lot of things here about this team where we're on the precipice of an explosion. And it's not a good thing for Giants fans. Giants fans will talk about Brian Daboll's getting fired like it's a good thing. It's not. Because if Daboll gets fired, who's the guy who pays the most? Jackson Dart, who you just drafted. You do not want to keep changing coordinators, changing coaches on that guy who has a good relationship with Brian Daboll. Here's the only hope the Giants have. You put a reasonable offense on the field this week, right? Whether you're not going to win the game. So you go out there, you compete, and it's a respectable football game. You got to put up 24 to 28 points. Then you can quiet the noise a little bit, right? Then you go play a Chiefs team tough too as well. And I'll say this, no matter what happens with the offense this week, Russ Wilson can throw for 5 touchdowns. That man will be out of the job by week 4 or 5. He's not going to last in this job. He's not. And we talked about this before the season. It's more evident now. When things go bad, Russell Wilson has no ability to reset the pocket. He's at the stage in his career now where that offensive line needs to be operating at a very high level for him to play good football. Right? That's the bottom line. He needs to be able to step into the pocket and because he can't see the middle of the field. He is too small. He can't see it. He is missing wide open receivers in the middle of the field. Right? He's too small to make some throws to the flat against pressure. Right? So the Russell Wilson experience is coming to an end. I'm skeptical he's going to go out there and play well this weekend. I really am. There were some things I saw from him that were just extremely concerning. And I wanted him to do really well, and I still want him to do really, really well as well. But when you look at the fact they already made Jackson Dart QB2 over Jameis Winston to begin with, right? They believe that Jackson Dart is ready to play quarterback in the NFL. I think Jackson Dart has surpassed their expectations within that building. I thought they went into this thing thinking that Jackson Dart would be a slow burn and they could have Jameis as number 2 and ready to step in naturally. That's what we all thought. But then we saw him in the preseason, and we all got to admit the kid did look really, really good. So do I want to throw him out there early? No, not really. I'm not interested in doing that. I like to let him have more time. Let Russell Wilson take more bullets here. Unfortunately, it's just the reality of the game in America. But he's gonna take that, and then we'll move into eventually the Jackson Dart era. But I mean this sincerely, guys. Like they need to have a reasonable offensive performance, not just this week, moving forward. You can't have another 6-point performance. You got to keep those things to a minimum because you're gonna get fired. You're gonna get fired if that keeps up, and it's a very small window here of opportunity for Brian Daboll to turn the narrative. You turn the narrative by putting up 24 to 28 points in this game. That's it. You gotta be able to do that. And how about you play Abdul Carter more snaps? I don't know. That's probably a good idea, considering every time he's on the field, he beats somebody. So there's also that. Oh, we're trying to keep him fresh. Fresh for what? Fresh for what? What are you keeping him fresh for? We don't play. And by the time October rolls around, the season is over for the Giants. You could be 1-3 by the end of this month. You're likely going to be on 1-3.
Well, that's why
the Cowboys ain't no world beaters either. You can beat that team. They're not that good, but we're not. I don't trust our coaching. I don't trust our leadership.
Well, this is why I think Dart could be in the lineup for that Sunday night game against the Chiefs next week. I mean,
absolutely. If
Russ plays the way he did last week, then they're not tied to this guy. Like they can cut him after this year. They can demote him to third string if they want to, but he's not going to be here long term. So why are we trying to figure out, can we make Russ work? Like, the one we need to figure out is the guy you drafted in the first round. So yeah, I know you don't want to rush him. Like, that was never the goal this year. That's why you signed 2 veteran quarterbacks to kind of alleviate that, fan pressure of playing dart. But then he played well in the preseason. And
Miles, you made a good point, though. I want to say this because you made a really good point. I also think that James would operate this offense at a far higher level than Russell Wilson does. And I think the natural thing would be to go to Russell Wilson here, except there's pressure to go to Jackson Dart, and you guys believe Jackson Dart's better. That's fine. But I think James would do a much better job. We're gonna hit more plays with a guy like Jameis.
Yeah, Jameis is not scared out there. So that's the main thing about playing quarterback. You can't play scared.
Facts. Jameis gonna sling that thing out there.
We would score 20. We're gonna score 21 points with him. He's gonna hit big plays. He's gonna make some mistakes. He's gonna hit, but we're gonna hit big plays with Jameis. I have no problem if they said we go to Jameis. What? I would welcome it because I know what that guy can. I know what that guy's going to do. He is overly aggressive. That's his problem. But the Giants need a bit of that. They need aggression down the football field, and then the guy who can see the middle of the field. And Russell Wilson can do neither. And then Russell Wilson will hit us with, mentally tough. Russell, you're playing in New York. You are no longer in Seattle. You're no longer in Pittsburgh. You're no longer in Denver. After a loss like that, just don't say anything. When you were a part of the problem, the advice to you, the PR advice, because I see a lot of guys messing up from a PR standpoint this week. A whole lot of PR mess ups. Do not say a word. Don't post no scriptures. Don't do nothing. First, pray by yourself. Pray by yourself. Read the Bible on your own. That's fine. Getting the great book. That's cool. Don't post nothing. Don't post nothing. Go out until you play good football. It's tough out here. You're not gonna last. I'm telling you. You better go out there and play well this weekend. I'm telling you. If they go out there and put up 3 points in the first half this weekend, I'm serious. They might get fired midseason. It's because there's no defense of it anymore. What can you possibly say? He's been here forever. It's your roster. You've turned it over from Gettleman now. You know what I'm saying? I see Griff's question in here too. By the way, I've been seeing it.
Yeah,
I want
to
grip
real quick. Real quick, shout out to Griff being on. Subscribe. He's on YouTube now, y'all. So subscribe to the show about sports. Good question. Do you think the Bears and the media had tunnel vision with Caleb Williams going into the draft? And we read in that article, everybody in that Bears organization was not actually fans of drafting Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm. To answer Griff's question, I think that they were scared of what would have happened if someone else had taken him and it worked out. I think they could see red flags, but I think they were scared of, like, hey, this is a guy who's been deemed as the generational talent. I think something we got to understand here and get this out of our heads is that these GMs are so smart and they know so much. I mean, we heard Tom Brady talk, to Miles' point. I heard Tom Brady too. I heard him say, he was like, yo, a lot of these guys don't know nothing about quarterbacks in these high executive seats and organizations. They're just going off of the media narrative. Oh, well, everyone says Caleb's going to be the next one. So now you feel this pressure internally to go pick him, even though you're football guys, the guys who are grinding tape day and night, you pay to do that, are telling you, I have concerns. You're not listening, right? Because you're scared of what the media fallout's going to be. Remember, Ryan Poles had 9 lives out in Chicago. The dude got more lives than Catwoman. He should be dead. He should be out of a job already. He should be done. But he's still there. He's still hanging on for dear life over there. All right. And so, look, credit to him. But he couldn't mess the pick up, and he did, ironically. It's ironic. But he didn't want to pass on that guy and him go somewhere else and be everything everyone thought he was going to be. So they picked him. There was pressure. There was a lot of pressure. They got tunnel vision for sure. 100%. And now it's biting them in the butt. Here we are. You see what the product is out there. It's not going to get better. Those habits don't get better. He's still painting his nails. He's still worried about other things. He goes to Angel Reese's nail tech. Unfortunately, that is a story. I wouldn't care if he painted his nails and he was really, really good, or he was studying in the film room. When I read the nonsense I read, and you're painting your nails before games, going to a nail tech, doing the whole thing, it's a problem. It's a real problem. It is. You still think you're that guy when in reality, when you got into the NFL, you were the worst player in the league and had to work your way up. That should have been the mentality. And he does not have the humility to approach the situation like that. How dare you even let there be a leak from your team about what your father was telling you during the draft process? How could you be so obtuse to let that happen? How? How could you let people think and know about the fact that you didn't want to be a Bear in the first place? How? No shame. We just hear now. Caleb is an example of the kids we deal with now in youth sports. It's exactly that. Even when they're talented, it's exactly that. Coaches understand. If you're a coach, you know. That's any kid, even kids that aren't talented, act like Caleb Williams. We got kids that are like that. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, speaking of futures, while we talking about NFL futures, Jerry Jones. We heard it. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. Has helped tremendously the Packers' future. What and how long do you think this championship window is now for the Packers with and Micah Parsons? And I and everybody else, including our blind brothers and sisters, saw the impact that Micah had, and he did not play every single snap. He didn't even play every single snap, but every time he was in, caused absolute havoc. How big is this championship window for the Green Bay Packers?
I think it's wide open now. Like, you've given yourself at least like a 3 to 4 year title window. I mean, you paid Michael Parsons. You got that deal out the way. Jordan Love is locked in. You don't really have much money tied up in your receivers. So that's another position that can improve, but does it really need to improve? Because it looks like their number one guy is their tight end. And on defense, at all levels, you've got guys who are really good. Rashawn Gary, McKinney, even the corners looked really good and active. And I think it all ties into you bring in a guy like Michael Parsons that speeds up everybody's process. I even saw a point in the game on Thursday where Michael Parsons is running down Jaden and he's looking back and a defender hits him low because you got to worry about that guy every single moment of the game. So they put everybody on notice. Like, everybody was talking about the Commanders as a potential. Are they a Super Bowl contender? I think they knocked that out the window now, showed that, no, I don't think they're there yet because the defense is average, and I don't know if the weapons on offense are going to be good enough to beat teams like this. And when you're well coached and you've got weapons, you've got a good quarterback in Jordan Love, like, the sky's the limit. This team, they're going to be up here for the next 5 years at least. And they know what they're doing when it comes to building a roster out. So we talked about, like, the Eagles as potentially like the favorites in the NFC. But after these first two games, you got to say, I mean, they beat the Lions, who everybody's favorite from last year, and they beat the Commanders. Jaden Daniel was everybody's favorite last year. So they're putting everybody on notice. Like, you come to Lambeau Field, you better be ready because it's going to be 60 minutes of hell, and nobody wants to deal with that. So that's why, yeah, thank you, Jerry. You gifted us one of the top 3 pass rushers in the NFL. Like, and you gave us an angry and motivated Micah Parsons, not the guy that they had in Dallas who might have just been worried about his stats. I feel like now he's going to try to become a more complete player in Green Bay. And we might be seeing that next leap for him as a player.
Listen, guys, I mean, the trade was idiotic when it happened, and it just looks worse now. I mean, because Micah fits over there like a glove, and to everything Miles said is a fact. I mean, you look at that team; they're a complete unit defensively. They can rush the passer with the best of them. I mean, they might be the best pass rush in the NFL the way things are going right now. And then that secondary is playing at an extremely high level with Xavier McKinney. God, please. Xavier McKinney playing at a high level, and then everybody else around him, all these other corners playing at an extremely high level as well. Guys you've never heard of are playing at a high level in that secondary because they don't got to cover that long. They don't got to cover that long. They can be really aggressive early in routes to throw off timing because they know, yo, man, like, we gonna get after the pass rusher, the quarterback anyways. So we just got to do our job for what, 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds. We can do that. Right. And so that's what you're seeing every single weekend. You're seeing them. They're marrying the pass rush with the defensive backfield play at a high level. And then Jordan Love look, he's been really good. Okay, like this ain't nothing new. I'd say this year he started off the best I've seen him start off. This is probably his best start. But that guy is really, really good at football. A really good processor. He did miss some throws to that rookie wide receiver, Golden. I mean, he missed he left about 100 yards out there. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He'll get that cleaned up. He won't overthrow him. Right, he'll make sure they're on the same page. He is a rookie after all, so I'll give you that. When you're winning, I got no problem giving you the benefit of the doubt. It's when you're a loser that I have a problem giving you the benefit of the doubt. See what I'm saying? Caleb, Giants. You see, there's a trend here. So when you talk about this team, I have very few concerns. I even told my wife the other day, who's a Steelers fan, an optimistic Steelers fan, all of a sudden because Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdowns, and now all of a sudden things are rosy. I said, hey, listen. It's cool, but understand something. This league isn't going to go to the Packers this year. I think the Packers are the best team in football, in my personal opinion. I really believe that. I know Eagles fans told me to slow my horses because of Darius Smith and Jalen Carter were there. Okay, I get that, but it's also Jalen Carter's fault he wasn't there, right? I didn't tell him to go spit on somebody. Also, don't tell me to wait for Jalen Carter. When Jalen Carter wants to show up and play football, then I'll get to reassess the situation. But I couldn't do that because he wanted to go spit on somebody and be an idiot. Anyways, and I don't know, Za'Darius is hurt. Za'Darius is an older pass rusher, by the way. I think he's an older guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, like that was like he's been bouncing around. He's been bouncing around more than these girls like Onyx or something like that. So I don't know that I can sit there and bank my everything on the fact that he's coming back to play for you guys. He might be okay. We'll see. But back to the Packers, they're a complete football team. Jerry Jones is an idiot, and when those fans are chanting thank you, Jerry, after the game, and Mike is egging it on, and Jerry acts like he's unbothered. Just understand, you traded a generational pass rusher at 26 years old. At 26 years old, and onto a team where they don't really, if they're doubling him, it's sure not effective. He's getting less double teamed. It feels like he's getting through the quarterback. So good luck to the rest of the NFL because it's not just about this year. They have a championship window because Jordan Love's contract is pretty favorable for them. It's like even for a better quarterback, it's pretty favorable. So they have a window to compete for the next 4 or 5 years at a high level.
And Micah, too, I know earlier in September he said he's never not had a Pro Bowl corner or All-Pro corner. So he was saying, like, I'm going to get y'all paid. And he's showing it. Like,
yeah,
these quarterbacks have no time to throw back there. Like, Jared Goff is slow as molasses, so he was running for his life last week. But Jaden Daniels, a guy who almost rushed for 1,000 yards last year, he looked like an average quarterback the other night until, garbage time and all that stuff. So, yeah, these cornerbacks are going to look a lot better because Micah Parsons is there and he's creating havoc like that. So, yes, we might not know these corners right now, but as the season goes on and they start making plays, yeah, we're going to know this defense a lot better than we did to start the year.
And somebody else is going to get paid and going to get a job as a head coach probably in the next year or 2 years, Jeff Hafley. Jeff Hafley, he been doing a good job with that Packers defense, but now you add Micah Parsons. And it creates a whole bevy of different schemes and different things you can do as the Packers coordinator. So it's looking good over there in Green Bay. And you know who's also looking good? Maybe not so much the team, but the player. A very, very good first week start. Used to be in a Giants uniform, Daniel Jones. Now, we had reels and conversations about Anthony Richardson, and there's no way that he should lose the starting job. He lost the starting job. Does not look good with him getting the job back after a game like this. 22 of 29 for Daniel Jones, 1 TD, 272 yards. 87 QBR, 115.9 overall rating. He also ran for 2 touchdowns. He made sure that his top targets actually got some love. Michael Pittman had 6 catches. Tyler Warren had 7 catches. Thoughts on Daniel Jones in that week 1 performance? Is he going to revitalize his career in Indy? Or will we see the Daniel Jones that we saw in New York at some point pop up?
Of course we're gonna see the Daniel Jones who played in New York. Yo, I got a parent of one of the kids I coach who's hitting me up. He's a big Daniel Jones fan. I don't know why, but he would hit me up and he was like flexing this whole performance. And I'm like, yo, like he got the best matchup he could have gotten in week 1 possible. A team that is in disarray and in Miami got to roll up into their stadium, and he got a favorable first start. Look, I don't wish that Daniel Jones has no success in this league, man. Like, I'm just telling you what I saw when he was a Giant. He was awful. And to be honest, those traits aren't like gone. When Daniel Jones had protection here, the rare times he had protection in 2022 and actually played well, there were games where he looked like that. And ironically, it was against the Indianapolis Colts where he looked like that. Again, that was the last time I'd ever seen him play that well, right? That game where Giants fans were chanting Daniel Jones, I'm sure the Giants fans who's in this podcast can remember that performance. So I personally, when I watched that game back, he made some high-level throws from clean pockets. He can do that from a clean pocket. He don't throw it a whole lot of anticipation still, man. I'm sorry. That's still not who he is. He has to see it to throw it. He sees it. He sees the guy open. Then he releases the football instead of releasing it into the window where the guy is going to be. That is not who Daniel Jones is. Go back and watch the game. That's not what he was doing. He had one throw like that to Mitchell. One throw like that because he has a lot of trust in Mitchell already. And Mitchell's really good, right? But look, man, like that game was favorable. They play who this week? The Broncos. We about to deflate that balloon real quick. Actually, it's going to be real interesting to see how that game goes against that defense. What they did to Cam Ward, and Cam Ward looked phenomenal against that team. By the way, the stats don't say it. He was making some throws in that game. Everyone around him looked like ass, but he was phenomenal in that football game with some of the throws he made off platform, some of the throws he made to the outer part of the field, using the middle of the field, that quick release, throwing under pressure. What I said Russell Wilson does where he runs away from the pressure, Cam Ward was stepping into the pressure and resetting the pocket, sliding, and making tough throws with the rest in his face, right? That was an incredible performance. Guess who's not going to do that? Daniel Jones. I've seen this movie before. When he gets through that off, when those guys start getting to him and they hit him once, right? Daniel Jones started looking around like he's naked and afraid. He don't know what to do. He don't know what to do when he gets hit. So just wait. Well, I'm telling you, time will tell. That's a tough matchup next week for him. That defense in Denver is on par with the defense we see in Green Bay. So good luck. But he's the same quarterback, guys. It's not different. He just had a good matchup.
Week 2, what are y'all two biggest matchups, 2 games that you will be locked in for this week?
Oh,
Bills Jets.
Man, it's going to be a good game.
I think that's an upset watch right there. I do think the Jets could possibly surprise some people. I mean, when you look at it, I don't want to say there's similarities to the Ravens, but this is a run-oriented team. And Justin Fields is going to give them some issues getting out of the pocket. There's no Ed Oliver this week, so they're going to be able to run the ball. And it just comes down to what the defense does, if they can stop Josh Allen, because that's the best quarterback in football right now. I wasn't going to do it, but that's the best quarterback in football right now. So if we can beat them, I mean, I'm going to be riding high into next week. But there's going to be a lot of optimism as far as Jets fans and with this Aaron Glenn, because I think there should be optimism with Aaron Glenn because he brings, accountability that we didn't have with Salah. Like the punt returner from last week, you fumbled, you're out of here. They cut his ass this past week. So that's going to show everybody in the locker room, like if you don't do your job, you won't have one. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. That I think they're having the Tony Romo, Jim Nance do that game, mainly for Josh Allen, but hey, it could be for Justin Fields too. And then Eagles Chiefs. That's a game, rematch of the Super Bowl. Sure, the Chiefs, they're not coming off of a great performance last game, but there's sort of a mini rivalry here between Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. I think this is the first time in NFL history that 2 quarterbacks have beaten each other in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, this is a mini rivalry here with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, and I want to see if the Eagles can bounce back offensively against this Chiefs team because there's opportunities here. And Xavier Worthy's ruled out, so that's another weapon lost for Patrick Mahomes. So he's going to have to figure it out. I mean, he's not facing that defense that he faced in the Super Bowl, so there's that. But he also doesn't have some of his weapons from that Super Bowl. So we'll see. But I think regardless, that's going to be an interesting game to watch.
I mean, there's some good ones, man. I mean, I'm taking a look right now as we speak. Obviously, you got the rematch. I don't think that Chiefs-Eagle game is going to be as good as everyone thinks it is, to be honest. I don't know how the Chiefs can sustain offense against that Eagles football team. The Chiefs are far worse than the Chiefs taking a step back in comparison to where the Eagles are now, right? The Eagles taking a step back as well, but the step back is not dramatic for that Chiefs team or for that Eagles team as it is for the Chiefs. So I don't know if that's a great game. But looking at it, there's some games of intrigue here. I do think Bills Jets is interesting. I do think I kind of look at the Seahawks Steelers game as an interesting game too. The Seahawks played the 49ers tough last week. I think that'll be a good game, a good test for Aaron Rodgers at home, first game, as well as see if this thing is real and see if Aaron Rodgers can sustain a high level of play over the course of 2 games. That's where we are in his career. So let's get a look at that. I am interested in I just saw the game a minute ago. Oh, yes, the Bengals in Jacksonville. I'm interested in that game as well. I think it's an interesting little matchup. You talk about 2 teams that are 1-0, right? And look, can the Bengals defense, right, keep those guys off the board? Because I think the Jaguars are certainly competent enough with Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis coming in there, right, to go out there and put up some points. So I'm interested to see how that game unfolds and see if the Bengals give that one up. Hopefully, or their defense does. Hopefully that doesn't happen for our friend who's a Wildcat, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Real quick, how do you think Travis did that first game?
What do you have, like 3 for 30 something? 3 or 4 for 30 something? It wasn't a whole lot of production, right, that I saw. Is that? Go ahead, Miles.
No, I was going to say it was okay. It was real.
Yeah.
Regular. It was like 6 catches, 30 yards, but J.C. Horn
30
made
yards, 6 for 30.
Yeah,
that's awful. That's a bad game.
But J.C. Horn made a crazy one-handed catch. He
did. Yeah,
that gets over like a couple feet higher. That's an 80-yard touchdown bomb, and then it's like 7 for 120. That looks a lot better than 6 for 33. So there's times in the game where there's opportunities, and he missed a lot of training camp. So I think he'll get better. But Trevor Lawrence is the bigger issue here. He missed a lot of throws looking at Brian Thomas Jr. and, Liam Cohen coming over. You would have thought that maybe things will change. Maybe he's able to develop him the same way he developed Baker Mayfield. But we'll see.
Well, I think the Trevor Lawrence situation there is more of an organizational failure than it's on him. I know. I mean, he's just the talent is there. I mean, whether we joke about him all the time, the talent is there. I think that guy can really, really play at a high level if put in the right situation to do so. Now, it's hard to say this is not a good situation, right? You got Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah. But I think he's going to get another chance to be a starter if it doesn't work out there long term. And don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be quick to come up off of him because we've seen what it looks like when you have no quarterback there. They're very used to that over there at Jacksonville. I don't think they're going to be quick to pull the plug on this experiment. And also, I'll say this. Travis Hunter needs to become a better, more skilled, more professional route runner in the NFL. He won a lot with athleticism in college at Colorado because he could do that. Here, you're not going to do that as often. Obviously, there's a big play they left in the field because he's really, really athletic, but you need to become more just technically sound so you can create situations where you can get yak and all those things and create more separation, right? We don't need you to jump over someone's head on a 5-yard smoke route or something like that. Great, you made a contested catch. You got 2 yards. Like 6 for 30 is crazy. Now, but again, Miles is right, that the big play on the field. So there's hope for him yet. He's obviously very talented. I'm not saying, ring the alarm. I like to actually watch him a little more, but I did watch the highlights and I saw a bit of him. He didn't have too many highlights, so you ain't see too much of him.
Adam Silver will be proud that you went to watch the highlights.
There you go. So he wants you guys. He wants everybody else. Hey, it's all of our benchmark listeners. If y'all don't got none of them, none of those expensive streaming apps and all that stuff, he said, just go on YouTube, watch the highlights, bro. You'll be all right.
Literally.
You know, that's what he said.
Ending off the show.
I'm just saying.
Ending off the show, we're going to touch on college football and the Canelo fight. On the college football front, we're only a couple weeks in. I don't think we're in the conversation yet of Heisman watch, but we do have obviously some big games coming up today. The Georgia-Tennessee game, I believe, is up there. Colorado losing again. UCLA is off to an 0-3 start. What's the biggest storylines for y'all so far in this college football season that has your eye?
The best game of this weekend? Is that what you said?
Best games, and what's the storylines in college football that really has your attention super early, but we have some already. You look at UCLA, they're on 3-star with the transfer of Nico. Obviously, Coach Prime, they're struggling over there in Colorado. SEC, it's a bunch of different storylines, but what's really caught your eye in some of the big games this week?
I mean, I think I'm looking at something that immediately jumps out to me. The main primetime game tonight is LSU and Florida, right? And I think DJ Lagway is overrated. I don't see it. Yeah. Miles, I know Miles is our resident Gator on the program. So if he's saying that, then obviously there's some truth to what I'm saying. I don't see it, man. I don't see a guy who plays on time really well. I don't see a guy who goes with a bunch of anticipation. I see a guy with incredible physical gifts. I see, he's fast, he's athletic, he's strong. He has a rifle of an arm. All that stuff is true, but I don't see a guy who plays the position with a great deal of nuance when I watch him play, right? And it's funny, it's ironic. He's matched up with a guy who does exactly that on the other side of the field tonight, and Garrett Nussmeier, who plays the game the way a quarterback should play the game. And the jokes write themselves, what I'm saying, if you're but it's true. Like it's just true. Like he throws anticipation. He's a great quarterback, great prospect, great college quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see that game and see how it unfolds. Hopefully DJ Lagway proves me wrong and plays a great game. But that's one of the many narratives I think that I'm kind of paying attention to in college football right now. Michigan, I talked to you guys about it last week. If a team takes with their run game, I don't trust the young guy to get the job done. And I have questions about the young guy. I think he can play, but I have questions about him long term, like throwing under pressure, like things like that over in Michigan and their long term sustainability. He can get better though, so we got to give him time as well. Nico's no surprise over there in UCLA. They were bad before he got there. They're gonna be bad after the fact. On some level, I feel kind of bad for Nico. Not really, but on some level I do, because he's getting a lot of blame for them being bad. But they were a bad program. It wasn't like he went there and a bunch of number one recruits went there with him. He went there to the same situation it was last year. UCLA's been down since Josh Rosen. They've been down forever. They've been down for a long. Has it been that long? Like they haven't been good. And so I'm not surprised that they're struggling, man. I don't think people should be, but they don't give them a hard time. It is what it is. It's the social media era. You know how that goes. There's other ones. I mean, Miles, I'll let you go a little bit too. I don't know if you got something that stood out to you.
Well, I think Florida, their coach, she's going to get fired at some point. I mean, 100%. At this point, there's a standard, and he doesn't meet it. It's just not a good product that he puts on the field. And yeah, DJ Lagway, as a sophomore, would have improved a little bit more. He kind of still looks like he still needs to develop a little bit. They're talking about potentially like a number one pick for next year. I don't see it. Like in 2 years, I don't see it when he plays. So, I think LSU should be able to handle Florida tonight. But the one game I want to look into is South Florida against Miami. Like South Florida, they've jumped up to 18th in the country this year. After 2 wins, they beat Boise State, and then they beat us last week. I mean, it's not saying much beating us, but now they're playing Miami, who's a top 5 team. Carson Beck, they've improved a little bit from last year. Let's see if they can make it a 3rd ranked team that they beat. And then if we see them beat Miami in Miami, then is this like a Cinderella run that they're on, or are they legit contenders to possibly work their way up into that top 12. And I don't know how good they are against some of those top teams like Georgia or Michigan or Texas, but anybody can be beaten. And South Florida's shown that sure, their offense isn't that strong, but I mean, their defense has played really well so far. And I want to see how they do against Carson Beck, because if we've looked at Carson Beck's track record at Georgia, it was okay. It was real ups and big downs for him. And he's played well to start the season. But I could see him playing not so well tonight against South Florida.
Crawford Canelo, that is also happening tonight. It's a lot of options to watch regarding sports tonight. So you won't be bored. You might have to swing by a bar. You might be able to watch it at home. I don't know your situation, but there will be options. Crawford, Canelo fight, Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. Who do you see winning, and which fighter has more at stake?
I think Bud has more at stake. I mean, he's undefeated. He's outside of Tank, I think one of the next top guy. Like Canelo's been around. He's not really fighting guys that are this level of competition anymore. He's just getting paydays and moving on. He's even fought guys out of his weight class and he's lost, but Canelo's always been about his money. So, but he's a big name. Canelo's more experienced. I want to see if Tank can actually have a great game plan. Like, don't get too aggressive with Canelo. Like, try to get in, get out. But yeah, if you look at his percentage, over almost 80% of his fights have ended in knockout. So, do we see him knock out Canelo? Like, Canelo's not really a knockout fighter. He's a guy who's going to try to take it the distance. And does Crawford at some point tire out because he's trying to find his spots and go for the knockout? Or can he go 12 rounds with Canelo? So that's what I'm interested in.
Greg, who you
I saw a crazy, I don't know if this is true. I was told that Canelo Alvarez was guaranteed $150 million for this fight and that Bud is only guaranteed 10. So instantly when you talk about, if that's true, if it's even remotely true, obviously Bud has more at stake, okay? I'm sure if he wins, there's more money in it for him or something, because that, I don't know who's his agent. I hope that's not true. But Bud climbed weight classes to do this, right? He's trying to do something that's never been done before. So there's a lot at stake for him as well. At the same time, there's a built-in excuse if he loses, right? He had to climb, he's fighting at an uncomfortable weight, he feels slower, whatever. I am rooting for Bud Crawford. I'm rooting for him. But I've learned that in my life, whoever I root for loses. So I think that Canelo Alvarez is going to win. That's what is going to happen in this fight.
Hey, so real quick before we close it off, what I just looked up, it said Canelo is set to earn between 100 to 150 million, while Crawford is expected to make significantly less, with figures ranging from 10 to 50 million. The total purse is estimated to be around 200 million, with a potential for a large performance bonus. So maybe he wins. It might be a little bit more on the back.
What in America is that? What in America is that?
That's like if Floyd was fighting somebody. Floyd's going to get more money because he's the bigger name and he's been doing this.
Is Canelo a bigger name than him? Is that what this is?
Yeah, Canelo's a bigger name.
Look, I'm not in the boxing space like that. I don't do all the hand-to-hand combat sports, man. I don't do all that. So this is for me. This is different territory.
Yeah,
I want the black man to win. That's all I'm saying, man.
I agree.
Terrence is the younger NBA player that's around year 5, year 6 that you could see is going to be one of the faces going forward. Canelo is, I'm not going to say he's the level of skill, but in regards of being around, he's Braun in regards in this fight.
Okay, that's fair. I know Canelo though. I know Canelo. He can fight. I know he can fight. He's older now. He's on the back nine. So we should be able to take advantage of that. Let's go, Bud. All right, I'm with you. I just met you, but we here.
He should be able to take advantage of that, and the only way you do that is if you stay ready. So you ain't got to get ready. Bench mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.